Friday show, since we've had Thrive, we get to go through Thrive props today.
Okay. Cool.
I believe we are live. Live enough. What's going on, everybody? Wow. Friday. We made it through this week, and that's because we started yesterday. But February 22nd, 9-game slate tonight? 4, 5, 6, 7. 9-game slate. Lots of stuff early, so if you've got a lot of late ownership, get ready. You're probably going to look like you're losing a lot right out of the gate. Those are the worst days. Laffy, what's going on, man? How was your Thursday?
Oh, not bad, not bad. Looking through the tweets yesterday from viewers of the shows, and it looks like some awesome viewers had some pretty good night.
Good.
So that's good. That's good.
That makes me happy.
Seeing a bunch of these here that are pretty nice. So yeah, I like seeing that.
You and me both, man. All right, let's hit all of the quick plugs, and then we've got a lot to talk about, and you and I don't do well at managing our time. So
No, we don't, but maybe we can do better today.
we can only try. First and foremost, NBA Strategy is the promo code. 50% off your first month with us if you use that code. One big word. Any package that we have, including those with Fantasy Cruncher. So check that out. And we are brought to you by Thrive. If you go to bit.ly, and I'm typing it in as usual, bit.ly/Awesemo, link is in the chat. You can get $10 on your first $10 deposit, $20 on $100, and $50 on $200. They are a new DFS provider that focuses on player props. So you get a list of 20 players. You have to pick 10 props, whether it's over or under their points, rebounds, assists. At the end of the show, Laffy and I will go through our favorite 5. That's where we're at right now.
Today would have been Steve Irwin's 57th birthday. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Well, that's why I'm here.
You're here for Steve?
I'm here to let you know that it would have been Steve Irwin's 57th birthday if he didn't take a barb through the heart.
Yeah. Do you know that, or did you just see that?
Do I know what?
That it's
That
his
it would have
birthday.
been his 57th birthday?
Is that just something you know? Are you a big Steve Irwin guy? Or?
My entire basement's dedicated to Steve Irwin.
See, that's what I figured.
Like a live aquarium with just Steve Irwin artifacts. Yeah, of course No, it was on Twitter. It was a hashtag.
Oh, okay. I just assumed you were monster Steve Irwin fan.
No, no, never that passionate about it. No, but when I see a hashtag, I click.
Okay.
You know, like
Yeah. I've always been
dog
more of a
to a
Crocodile
bone.
Dundee guy, so it's a different thing for me.
It says a snake once bit Steve Irwin in the neck on live TV, and instead of panicking, he asked the camera to get a close up of the creature as it sunk its teeth in.
Yeah, I'll never understand these kinds of people.
Irwin was a boss, though.
I guess. I don't know. I don't.
He was, dude. Don't
It
watch
cost him his
yourself.
life.
Yeah, but who cares?
Probably him and his
Like,
family.
what a way to go out.
Sounds like a terribly painful way to go out.
I've always said, like, if I was going to go out, I wanted to be chasing a tornado or something. Oh, how'd Laffy die? Yeah, he was out Midwest, got sucked up in a tornado, saw him whisked away. What a cool way to die. Like, granted, I don't want to die, and anybody that's ever perished because of a tornado, I'm not making light of that. But there are certain ways to go that, just more memorable than others, put it that way. Like, my guess is when Bear Grylls goes out, it will probably be in a way that you say, huh, that's memorable.
I think you're going to
Oh.
go out like Chappelle talks about in his special. You hear Dave shit himself. Died crying like a bitch.
Possible. Very possible. Very possible.
That's how I will go out, I'm sure. Or I'll, I don't know, choke on a cheesesteak or something. That would be I would choke on a pizza bite. That would be like the equivalent of Steve Irwin taking the stingray barb to the chest.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Die with what we know, I guess.
people would remember that.
Unfortunately, I don't want to. I don't want to die in infamy.
You hear about Josh? Pizza Pocket?
Yeah. Tried to eat a hot pocket whole, and that's why we take 7 hours to do these shows.
All right, I'm done.
All right, we got a ton to talk about. 9-gamer. At the very least, since it's 9 games, we'll have a lot to just ignore, which is always helpful. I'm going to get ownership in here, but let's start it off. First game on the slate, the Charlotte Hornets hosting the Washington Wizards. 118 implied total for the Hornets, 113 for the Wizards. And in case I typed that in wrong, and I don't think that I did, the Charlotte Hornets have the highest implied total of the slate. Is that real?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I did the Early Bird podcast with Dan Strafford last night. Take a listen, please. And I was actually really surprised at how weak this slate is overall.
Yeah.
Not to say it's bad, but it's not what you would think having 9 games. I mean, it really is not what you would think having 9 games. I'm seeing, let's see here. Yeah, Charlotte with the highest implied total, 117.5.
Insanity.
The highest total on the game too, 230.
Some of the chalk that's out there in our first round of ownerships is disgusting as well.
Oh, I know. I'm telling you, man, it's not pretty.
We're going to have a lot to talk about here. Let's start it off. Hornets, nice little pace up spot. Obviously, a very advantageous implied total. We've got Kemba at 10K on FanDuel, 9,300 on DraftKings, $38 on Yahoo. I think he's appropriately priced. I don't see anybody that stands out as someone I just want to go crazy over, but I definitely want to have a decent amount of the Hornets if they're going to have an implied total like this. Anybody standing out for you that you think is just head and shoulders above everybody else?
Yeah, I like Kemba quite a bit, and I like Jeremy Lamb.
Yeah.
Aside from that, I'm just not that excited about it. You know, Cody Zeller's price tag continues to come up. I know he's playing well enough, but do I get there? It's probably pretty unlikely. With Lamb, but Zeller's like 64 on FanDuel now.
Yeah, that's a
But
tough one.
with Kemba, a couple things here. You know, since Zeller's return, he's got a 33% usage rate, 27% assist rate, almost 1.4 DraftKings points per minute. The numbers are strong. And this game against Washington is definitely a favorable one. So I definitely have no issues with Kemba. There are a couple other guys that we'll get to at the point guard position that I think I'm going to end up liking a little bit more. But in terms of that price range, there isn't that much. Like, yeah, I like him over Donovan Mitchell. Drew Holiday, we're talking Alvin Gentry's probably cutting his minutes, so it's hard to fall in love with him. Yeah, it's really a weird and it's a strange slate. And like as you said, Charlotte having the highest total makes things interesting. I do like Lamb though. He's going to get minutes, and that's pretty much what we're aiming for here, especially with this game having the highest projected total. Played only 18 minutes last game. Before that, though, you're getting 36, 38, and then back down to the 29, 26. Definitely all over the place at times, but I think he gets back up above 30 today.
Yeah, Lamb is grading out fine for me. I continue to get more Batum than I'll ever want.
Right.
Yeah, I know. He's been a lot better.
Almost as gross as PJ Tucker.
Yeah, how'd he end up last night? Wasn't the first thing I checked when I woke up today.
I'm not sure you want the answer to that.
That bad?
9.
Ooh.
He had.
Ooh.
I played the late night too, and I'm like, all right, I get a little. Yeah, you gotta have a little PJ Tucker, bro. He played 34 minutes.
He took 4 shots and they were all threes. He didn't take another shot.
Through
Not even a
his
free
first,
throw.
no, through his first 12 minutes, he had literally not contributed anything to the stat sheet.
That is an empty stat line.
34 minutes, 3 points, 3 rebounds, and a steal, 5 personal fouls.
Hmm.
Harden and Paul fouled out in that game too.
Win some, you lose some.
Yep. That is the motto.
All right, so we have Walker, Lamb, Zeller, Batum, Williams, all between 13 and 19% owned on DK. Not much ownership going to Zeller or Marvin Williams on FanDuel, but similar story for the other guys. And I kind of think that's just sort of how it should be. I don't see anybody that's at a price point where I'm going to go crazy, but at the same time, a matchup against Washington and a high total with a increased pace, I'd like to cycle in basically the starters.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's more or less what I'll probably be doing. I like Kemba and Lamb more than the rest, but you're also paying more for them, and that's why you like them more because they're better players. So, yeah, Williams and Batum are fine. I don't have any issues with him. I don't like playing Batum because his ceiling is just so low. Uh, it's become tough too. I mean, I played him a couple of weeks ago. I had a decent amount of him
when the price was still down.
Yeah, he was like, what was he? I think he was 45. It was his last game. I can't remember. He got off to
he was 45 a couple weeks ago. Yeah,
he got off to a great start, and he had like 5, 4, and 5 in the first quarter. I'm thinking, okay, so it wasn't that game. It was another game semi recently, or maybe like 5, 4, and 3, whatever. But that's a good start. And then he finishes with like 7, 5, and 3.
Yeah.
So it's so hard to get there with Batum that if you're playing him, it's because he's dirt cheap and you're hoping he can maybe get to 30. That's the honest to God truth right now when it comes to him. I feel the same way I mentioned this. I feel the same way with Draymond Green. Like, you're hoping he can get there, give you 40. But right now, I don't know how often Draymond Green is going to give me more than 40 or 35 fantasy points.
I agree. Very similar in fantasy output between those two guys.
At least the way
Batum is a guy that looks good until value comes out.
Yeah, Zeller is generally the same way as well.
Yep.
But he's not that cheap anymore.
No, he's not. Yeah, I'll have some sort of mix of those first 5 guys though, just because of the total and the pace. Someone's going to pop off here, or you would expect based on this total. So
I like that.
I just have no real confidence in who that was going to be.
Right now, it's pretty difficult to say. So that's pretty much it on Charlotte, though.
Washington side, though. We've got Beal at 9,400 on FanDuel, 9,200 on DK, $37 on Yahoo. I like him on DraftKings. He's one of my favorite plays on FanDuel.
Yeah, I'm all right with him. Not huge on him, though. Here's why. With Satoransky back, it definitely makes a big difference because he's not going to necessarily be that primary ball handler, go-to facilitator here. When Satoransky was out of the lineup, that made a heck of a difference, man.
Hell yeah.
And like a really big difference. So getting him back, we know that he practiced. We know that he was out for personal reasons. It wasn't an injury. Always looking at his headshot, it's like he looks like he just smelled something nasty, but he planted it there, and he's got this smirk on his face. Like, man, I can't wait till they come in the room and they. Pull it up on DraftKings. You'll see exactly what I mean. Like, he's got this evil smirk, like he's just done something wrong.
Are we talking he's waiting Satoransky or
Satoransky?
Okay.
And he's just waiting for everybody else to catch on to his evil plan. Take a look. You'll see exactly what I mean. Yeah.
What a creepy ass picture.
You see it, right? Like it's so obvious. Have you seen American Vandal on Netflix? If you haven't, by the way, it is hilarious.
I haven't. That's the like mockumentary, correct?
It's really funny. Yeah, it's really funny. Yeah, he's the one that made everyone shit their pants, and he's just waiting for it to happen. But I think he makes a huge difference when it comes to Beal. I don't hate Beal here. It is the highest total game, as we pointed out. And what, 5-point spread. So Washington's got a relatively high total as well.
Yeah.
I'm not in love with him. I honestly I'd probably go down to DeMar DeRozan at 7,300 heading back to Toronto. We'll get there in a minute, but yeah, I don't have an issue with him. This whole team though, for me with Washington, like Bobby Portis, from a tournament perspective, I am understanding of it, but the whole Washington team, I'm not really hitching my wagon to any of them heavily.
No, I'd rather go to Ariza if he's going to get basically no ownership and just hope that it's the day where all of those minutes matter for him. But I don't have a ton that I like here outside of Beal.
I mean, Jabari's played 23, 34, 20, 34. So if the pattern continues, he's playing low 20s.
I've got him in for 24 right now.
For 24. Yeah, I don't know, though.
Right.
It's so hard to say. I have him in for 25, but as we've seen, it's not crazy to assume that he could play more. I just don't know. I really have no idea. I don't think any of us do.
Nah, I agree.
So
Nobody's standing out here for me.
Me neither. If you wanted to sprinkle Jabari in the tournaments because of how cheap he is, I don't have an issue with that. Charlotte's defense is pedestrian at best. But again, as you just, nobody stands out here. And that for me includes Beal. I don't dislike him, but I do think Satoransky being back should not be overlooked at all.
I agree. Do you like him at all? I think he's okay if he's not going to be owned.
Yeah, it depends. As you mentioned with the ownership, so here's the interesting thing. The 5K position, the low 5K, or sorry, high 5K on DraftKings. Satoransky, then you have Teague, who's been playing huge minutes.
Yeah.
You have Collison against New Orleans. You have Reggie Jackson against Atlanta. We'll get to all of them. I guess you could even throw Rubio in there, who's pretty cheap, in a massive pace-up spot against the Thunder. There are a lot of those high 5K players that Satoransky just becomes another name in that range.
And that's sort of why I like him, at least based on our ownership. We've got Teague at 18%, Rubio at 11%, Darren Collison 26%, Satoransky 2%.
Yep, I was surprised to see Reggie Jackson at 9%. I thought he'd be a little bit more popular than that. I mean, you know how I feel about him with Ish Smith back.
Yeah.
But against Atlanta, I'm sometimes willing to make it an exception.
I'm willing to make a couple exceptions on that Pistons team today.
Yep, me too.
So yeah, Beal will be my priority. I'll have probably more Ariza than anybody in the public, and then I'll probably have more Satoransky as well, just to get off of some of those big, like Darren Collison type numbers.
Makes sense.
But nobody crazy for me outside of Beal on FanDuel, and that I could probably stand to do a little bit more looking from a positional standpoint. Actually, let me do that right now. Who else is around him? Shooting guards. So it's Luka 10K, Mitchell. Yeah, I think I really like Beal on FanDuel.
Okay. All right.
We'll see how that shakes out. I hope he does better than PJ Tucker.
Yeah. And my guess is he does. But I get it though. The position on FanDuel's definitely shallower, but I'm looking at we'll keep going. I'm not going to just keep spilling out players until we get to those games.
Spill them out, man. Spill them out.
No, I'll try and be patient here.
Alrighty. The Indiana. Did you have anything else from Hornets Wiz?
No, I'm okay with that game. I think we've covered it.
Okay. Indiana Pacers hosting the New Orleans Pelicans. 113.5 implied total for the Pacers. 108 for the Pels. Pacers defense, even without Oladipo, still really solid. 3% better than average, limiting fantasy points per possession. Pelicans, not so great defensively. Let's start on the Indiana side, where this is a much easier thing to talk about because the Pelicans are continuing to be a pain in the ass. Miles Turner is 7,900 on FanDuel, 6,400 on DK, 25 on Yahoo. I like him in the inverse order of where I read that. Yahoo best, DK second best, only 7% ownership. Keep an eye on that. Basically no ownership on FanDuel, which I understand because of the price. I'm going to have quite a bit of Miles Turner, and I feel like I own him a lot.
I'm wondering how much of that has to do with him being questionable.
Probably a lot.
Yeah, because if
Don't
he
remember
doesn't
seeing
play,
that.
he's questionable.
I trust you.
If he doesn't play, he's got a bruised hip. If he doesn't play, Sabonis is, the best play on the slate,
Yep.
and that's kind of one of those screw ownership spots where I'm really not too worried about it.
There's no doubt. Like he's too good on a per minute basis to care.
Yeah, exactly. And on DraftKings, Sabonis is $5,500.
Yeah.
Get out of here! It's nuts. Even 61 on FanDuel is very, very reasonable, and it's just very difficult to get away from that. So, if Turner plays, I like him though. I like him quite a bit. He's not a great rebounder, but first of all, you're getting a Pelicans team that will be without Anthony Davis's full run. They're saying it'll get around 25 minutes, and I think that might even be. I wouldn't be surprised if that's even a high, the high range of his minutes. I wouldn't be surprised if he plays like 21, 22 some nights, right?
Yeah.
I really would. Just like doesn't play the second half. Actually Turner faced them earlier in February. He had a pretty solid game: 15 points, 9 rebounds, 3 blocks, 2 steals. I think you probably get something similar to that today. He is a phenomenal shot blocker. He leads the league in blocked shots, and it's no surprise. I mean, he's really good when it comes to getting in your face and swatting it 15 rows deep. He's also, while he isn't a great rebounder, this is actually not a bad rebounding matchup.
Yeah.
Especially if Anthony Davis's minutes are going to be limited. But yeah, Turner leads the league in blocks per game. So it mitigates some of the other concerns here, like he's not a good rebounder, which he isn't. But if you get him up above 30 minutes, I mean, I'd hope he plays 32 minutes and not say 28. That's yet to be seen. But I would hope I have him right now at 30 minutes. And if that's the case, at his price point, I like him quite a bit, especially, where you're getting him discounted on DraftKings.
Yeah, I have him at 30 minutes as well. I'm perfectly cool with it. We've got Collison as chalk on both sites. I understand why it's the case. I'm not going to go crazy over on him. I'll be around the field or less. And then Thad Young is continuing to be a guy that I get more than most.
Collison rarely kills you for not playing him, right?
Yeah.
But he's a perfect. I don't have any issues with him. I had said to Dan last night that ownership's going to play a huge role in where I land on those high 5K point guards.
Yeah.
The Collisons, the Teague, the Reggie Jacksons, and such. You can throw Satoransky, maybe Rubio into the mix. That's going to have a lot to do with where I land on them. And I think Collison, seeing that right now he is expected to be the highest owned of the bunch, well, that makes my decision a little bit easier.
Yep.
He's expected actually the highest owned projected to be the highest owned point guard right now. I have no problem with him whatsoever, and I like this matchup. But you're putting him at, you're hoping he gets you 35 or so fantasy points. If Collison goes for 55 today and it kills me, so be it, because that's not a common occurrence at all.
No, I'll be underweight on that number. I understand why he's getting popularity.
Sure.
But there are too many other options.
There are. Now, I'll tell you this much. Small forward is not deep, neither is shooting guard. Bojan Bogdanovic is actually pretty intriguing to me simply because of the lack of depth. So I'll throw him out there. He's going to get opportunities in this game. He's going to get the minutes. Pelicans struggle big time against wings, especially wings that spot up 3-point shooters like him. I think Bogdanovic, and now he's not going to come in at no ownership either, because, like I said, the position is not loaded, and you're going to have to get some guys like this.
Yeah,
but
he's
I do
at 17
like
and 16 right now.
Yeah, but you'll see once we get, like, if you actually look at the position in whole, it's not pretty. Like, I mean, just to put it in perspective, Finney Smith is at 20%. Batum is at 19%. Luke Kennard's at 18%. Rudy Gay's at 16%. So that kind of brings it into focus. And you're
Mhm.
like, oh wait, okay, yeah, these projected high owned guys are not very good. DeAndre Bembry's at 24%, and he is dog shit. So there you go.
I don't disagree. Yeah,
It's 'cause of the
Pacers are
Kevin
mostly
Huerter.
just Turner, Thad, and Collison for me. Collison underweight, Thad overweight, Turner I hope overweight if it continues to be under 10%. So let's hope that he hangs that questionable tag on himself until 6:59.
Yeah, pretty much. With the Pelicans, the only thing I'm doing is probably going to be Julius Randle. You can't play Davis. You can't play Drew Holiday. I
Agreed,
wish I
agreed.
could. Yeah, wish I could because I really like Holiday here, but I can't trust that. I just to me it seems like Randall is underpriced when you have him on DraftKings and FanDuel 74 and what like 76, 7,800. I don't know. That seems kind of wild given that, Holiday and Davis are definitely going to see their minutes limited and all he needs is 30 minutes off the bench.
How many minutes do you have Okafor playing? I think I gave him too many.
Um, let's see. I have him at 26
Okay.
and Randall at 30.
Okay, I have Randall at 32 actually.
Okay.
But I just dropped Okafor to 26. I had him at 28, and I was like, "Holy shit! I'm playing Jahlil Okafor today."
Getting a lot of them.
I was at 28 minutes, which
Right.
doesn't shock me. He's 4,600 on FanDuel, so
Okay.
yeah. Randall looks fine. I probably would have no issue having some Okafor on FanDuel just because of the price tag. I'm still, while I don't like where he's going to be playing, if Kenrich Williams is still going to play 34 minutes a game, I'll take a chance at 5,500. But again, the guys in that range are the first guys that are going to get dropped from my lineups as value opens up. But
Right.
I don't
Kenrich
like
would
anybody here that I would want to have in more than like 1 out of a 20 max.
Sure. And Kenrich should also he will play more at the 4 now that Davis is only going to play 25 minutes.
Yeah. And Elfrid Payton back today. I don't get the sense that matters.
Randall was 6% projected ownership at 7,400 though.
If I'm honest, that's pretty much where I think it should be.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, you're getting limited minutes from their 2 highest usage players or 2 best players. I guess so. It seems a bit low at that price, especially given the lack of depth on this slate.
Yeah, it does feel a little low. I'm probably under projecting his rates right now just a bit. But even if I bump that up, I wouldn't get too crazy. But I could see doubling that 6 without any real issue.
Sure.
I just don't have anybody standing out to me out of the Pelican side.
I think the reason to me that it seems strange is some of the guys that at his position are projected for much higher ownership. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So some I look at it and say, "Oh my god, really?" That's surprising. Like Bobby Portis 3 times the projected ownership as Randall, and he's seen his price come up. So it might not be the worst spot to get away from chalk. I don't know how chalky anyone at the position is going to be though. It's pretty weak.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, the highest owned guy right now is Kent Bazemore at 31%. Otherwise, everybody is at 26% or less. So, barring any, Boban type moves where somebody at 3,200 is going to see monster minutes,
Right.
ownership is pretty flat right now.
Yep.
You ready to move on?
Let's do it.
Okay. The Orlando Magic hosting the Chicago Bulls. 111.5 implied total for the Magic, 103.5 for the Bulls. Magic defense, fantastic. Something that people probably don't really realize. They have the best defense in basketball from a fantasy perspective over the last 15 games played. 6% better than average.
It's very impressive. And if you bring it back to the beginning of January, they are 3rd in defensive rating, behind only the Bucks and the Jazz.
I would have expected they had more Mo Bamba on the floor for that stuff, but it's not.
Yeah, I think I mentioned this to you. I really think this is something that Steve Clifford's doing.
Very much so. You saw it happen when he first got to Charlotte.
Mm-hmm. I mean, come on now. The personnel, it's not like you're not talking about a star-studded cast there. You got DJ Augustine and Terrence Ross and Evan Fournier and Vooch, who's never been known for his defensive prowess. I
Yeah.
could always see Aaron Gordon being made into a really solid defender, but it's crazy. They've been really good defensively, man. Really good.
Now, offensively, or at least from a fantasy perspective, I don't really have anybody here that I want to go to with any sort of volume. Vooch is fine, little expensive. Aaron Gordon is fine. Nobody that I want to go crazy over. That's basically it, though. There's nothing really for me in this Orlando team.
No, I have trouble getting there as well. I really don't dislike Vooch, but when we talk about comparing him to the other players at his position, it gets really difficult.
Yeah.
You know, when Drummond is $800 less expensive, Griffin's at the same position, $100 less expensive. Jokic is only $300 more going up against Dwight Powell and Maxi Kleber. Like that's tough to get away from. Uh, I always like Vooch, and Adam and I have talked about this a lot on the deeper dive, but the fact that in competitive games he had been playing more minutes, they've listened to the listen to this. The scores of the last 5 games, right? They've won 122 to 112, so by 10 points. 103 to 83. That was against Milwaukee. Granted, Giannis was out, but still, 20-point victory. 124 to 108 over Atlanta. So what, a 16-point victory. 118 to 88 in New Orleans, a 30-point victory, and then 127 to 89 over Charlotte. So they're winning. They're just smoking teams right now. It's really crazy. They're winning in blowout fashion. Looking back on this, they've won 8 straight games. And no, I'm sorry, they lost to OKC. So they've won 5 straight games and 7 of their last 8. And they're shitting on teams too. Like they're really beating up on opposing teams. It's a funny sight to see, man. I would not have expected that to be the case.
Oh, they've been so good defensively. It's keeping them in it because their offense is not great.
And
that is evidenced by reading off names like Fournier, Ross, Augustine, Briscoe, Birch, Owundu, Grant.
Yep. Yeah, they're 17th in offensive rating since the start of January. And they play super slow, too.
Yeah, I wish I had someone that I wanted to recommend here with some sort of gusto, but I don't.
Aaron Gordon right now is seemingly going to be relatively popular, but not crazy. I think we have him like 14-15%.
Yeah.
Aside from that, and really, I'm not that high on Aaron Gordon here.
Same.
I do think that Terrence Ross is always worth a dart throw in tournaments. You can look at his minutes recently and ask why they're down. Again, they're winning in blowouts, and we say this a lot. When you're winning in blowouts and you're 6 man, your top scorer off the bench is losing minutes. It only makes sense because they're not going to close out games, and their rotation doesn't start until midway or more than midway through the third quarter. So we've seen Terrence Ross lose significant minutes. Like the last game, he only played 8 minutes in the second half because you don't need him. You're up by 30 points. So I think he probably, if this game stays close, gets back up to like 27 minutes here, 28 minutes. And man, he is a gunner. So
he doesn't have a problem with letting it loose.
He really does not have a problem with it. And he's 1% ownership. So I'm not saying I'm excited about him, but if you forced me to pick somebody, I think the recent blowouts make it easy to be like, oh, his minutes are down. His minutes aren't down because Clifford's gone away from him. His minutes are down because they literally haven't needed any of their starters or their top bench scorer in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. I wish I had something interesting to say about the Magic. I don't really have anything interesting to say about the Bulls either. I think Otto Porter is fine. I don't mind if I get Markkanen or Levine, but I won't have these guys more than 1 out of 20.
Yeah. The good thing about Porter is he's played 34 or more minutes in every game since the trade deadline, right? So that's the good thing. The bad thing is he's been wildly pedestrian outside of that one strong game where he shot, ready, Josh? 16 for 20.
That feels
16
unsustainable. Am I wrong?
I'd say you're closer to right than wrong.
Okay.
I mean, that is some serious shit right there. 16 for 20. Yeah. But I'm with you. I think Otto Porter is perfectly fine. And one of the reasons for that though is the small forward's really not deep.
No.
Like if you're saying, "Oh man, I don't like Porter. I think I'm just going to load up on Dorian Finney-Smith." If that's your prerogative, you go for it. But I can't exactly sign off on that. Yeah, it's really just a lack of depth at the position. Otto Porter not expected to be a popular play. And here's the thing I like about him. It's very simple. I don't love the matchup. I don't think he's the greatest player out there, but he's going to get the minutes. And even if this game does start to get out of hand, I still have Porter playing, 31, 32 minutes. But they've managed to stay pretty competitive since the deadline, actually. They've won 2 of 4 and they're keeping games close.
Go Bulls.
Yeah, that'll end today, I'm sure.
You would think. But yeah, this is not a game that's really on my radar. I won't have any volume here.
Markkanen's been spectacular. Like he's just been so good, and his rebounding is out of this world right now, which is the biggest surprise, I think. I'm never opposed. If you ask me, hey, do you like Markkanen? I'm not going to tell you I hate him. He's there. I don't love him, but he's playing so well with such high, not even volume is the thing. It's just he's playing so well with so many minutes, and you're getting your 15 to 18 shots a game. You're hauling in 10, 15 rebounds. It's hard to be terrible when you're in Lauri Markkanen's position.
Very true. He's just going to be out there, and
right.
It's going to be really hard for him to crater you at 1.1 fantasy points per minute or whatever you get out of him.
Exactly. Yeah. Now he's not super cheap either.
No.
But Lauri Markkanen continues to get it done. Let me ask you this before we move on.
Sure.
How many minutes do you have Robin Lopez projected for?
24 more than he should.
Okay, so 24.
Yes.
Yeah. I have him at 26, and I still don't have him as a good value play. But with him being so cheap, I figured I'd bring it up to see what type of run yet. Because mind you, he's played 33 and 32 minutes over his last 2 games, man.
Yeah, if you wanted to go to more of him and have him in a couple lineups, I understand it in the GPP, but I mean, in this matchup, in this game, 103.5 implied total right now is pretty clearly the lowest number on the board. I don't need to take the shittiest player from the shittiest team today.
That's a good way to look at it. That is. I'll tell you, a lot of tonight is going to hinge on what Jaren Jackson Jr.'s status is.
Oh God, I don't even want to talk about that team. There's so much garbage. Does it fire up Yuta Watanabe night?
It could be, dude. I'll do you one better. Chandler Parsons is back.
Wait, is that official? I thought I read that he was out for today.
Oh, sir, that is official. I have no idea if he's going to play, but like he is back. And he is part of the team's rotation going forward. So,
fuck me. Did I just I know that I looked at this and I thought, okay, I need to make these adjustments for him. He will not play versus the Clippers on Friday.
When was that?
3:05 p.m. yesterday. Oh, that's fucking Kyle Anderson. Stupid Roto World.
I was gonna say, yeah, because I have him in.
Okay, so here's what happened, and I knew that I did this exact same process. I clicked on Chandler Parsons in the Roto World depth chart, but the first blurb isn't for him. It's for Kyle Anderson because it mentions Chandler Parsons. So I left him out.
There you go. That'll
Roto
do it.
World, fix your shit, man. That's the stupidest thing. Why would I want to read Kyle Anderson's blurb?
Yeah, that's dumb. I'll tell you something pretty funny though. I have like a rest column on how many days off they've had, right? With all these guys, it's like 8, 9 because of the All-Star break. Chandler Parsons, 122.
Yeah.
Dude, this guy, like, nobody is a better check collector than Chandler Parsons. It's spectacular. I told Dan,
I know John
I
Wall is going to take a run for that in the next couple of years.
he might, but no one's done it as sustained as Chandler Parsons. Like,
It's been a
I wish
while since Allen Houston was in the league.
yeah. I wish I was talented enough, yet fragile enough as Chandler Parsons
Yeah.
to get contracts, get people to pay me, and then be like, "Oh, my ankle. Oh, my knee," and then just sit out. Do you know what he's making this year? Take a guess. Just take a guess.
22?
24 million,
Yeah.
24 million, and 25 million next year.
Get that paper, baby. Secure the
Dude,
bag, Chandler.
no one collects checks like Chandler Parsons.
Good for him, man. Good for him.
Like Chandler Parsons is making almost 20% of the total salary on the Memphis team, on the Memphis Grizzlies. And he doesn't play.
I don't know what to do with these minutes now.
Only 33 players get paid more than Chandler Parsons.
God damn. Get it, Chandler. Enjoy that money.
God.
I hope, as weird as it sounds, I hope he spends every cent of it. Just balls out.
Buys a bunch of Steve Irwin gear.
15 million in cash after taxes. I hope he spends every cent of it in a calendar year. Just lives like a boss, sprinkling caviar and shit on everything he eats. Oh, what are you eating there? It's Easy Mac, but I add beluga caviar and shaved truffles just to fuck around.
It's been a long season. I do what I want.
Yeah, some gold leaf. Oh God,
living like a king. Not doing
good for
shit.
him. Man, Mavs dodged that bullet.
Nobody rehabs better than Chandler Parsons, though. I'm sure he's just a rehab king.
I'm sure he's going to need rehab when this is all said and done.
Yeah, I meant physical rehab, but you're probably right.
Yeah. All right, let's get out of this game.
I hope he shows up like 60 pounds overweight. just like Jabba the Hutt's onto the court.
He's too pretty for that, isn't he?
It's been 4 months. Yeah, I mean, it's possible, but when you're living that high life, collecting 24 mil in a year to watch from the sidelines, I'm sure things can get out of control.
I'm sure they can. Oh my God. 22.12 million in 2016.
Yeah.
Oh God. What was the good season for Dallas, right? Or was it Houston then Dallas?
I think it was like 97 or something.
97. Where'd it go? He averaged 16 and 6 in 2013, 14.
13.
Like 38 minutes a game.
Don't give him more credit than he deserves. That was 5.5 rebounds.
I rounded up clearly. Yeah, but 38% from 3 on 5 attempts. If he were healthy, he would have just been shooting 8-9 times a game, 38, 39%. Ooh, is that a bad contract?
You think? Yeah. Look how calculated this is. Ready? He's like, I'm gonna sucker him into believing that I'm the healthiest man alive. I'm gonna play 76 games in 2012, and then the next year I'll play 74. Then he won't see it coming, and then 66 the following year, and then I'll play 61. This is where I'll really get him. I'll get that contract. I'll go to Memphis. I'll play 34 games, and the next year I'll only play 8, and then this year I might not make it to 5. And he's on track, man. If you look at that, every year he's played fewer games. Every single year he's played fewer games since 2012.
In June of 2011, so I assume this was before the draft? 2011. Yeah, so he was traded by the Rockets with Brad Miller, Nikola Mirotic, and a 2013 first-round pick, which ended up being Andre Roberson, to the Minnesota Timberwolves for Johnny Flynn, Donatas Montejunas, and a second-round pick that ended up being Will Barton. That's a lot of NBA players in there.
Oh
Domo
my
went through a
God.
stretch where he was going to get paid and then ended up not getting paid.
Donuts, man. Montejunas was he was the man. He was supposed to get paid decent money, yeah, and that all went to shit. That was rough. By the way, I didn't know that Mirotic was stashed for that many years. It's like good 3 years he was stashed.
Yeah, he was gone. He was over for a while, and then they would rumor that he was going to come over, and then his buyout was fucking something crazy. So he played out another year and another year. It's like Rubio. Rubio was over for a while too.
Yep. Montejunas had that amazing fantasy season
Yeah.
with the Rockets in 2014 where he came in and started getting those minutes, and it was like you just play him every night.
Yep.
All right, let's move on.
Alrighty. Toronto Raptors. This one's a big one. Toronto Raptors hosting the San Antonio Spurs. Monster game for many different reasons. Raptors are 117.25 implied total. I have them just behind the Hornets. Spurs 109.75. Spurs defense has been really bad as of late. Raptors defense obviously fantastic. We'll start on the Toronto side. Kawhi Leonard is 9,500 on FanDuel, 9,400 on DraftKings, and $38 on Yahoo. I know we talk about Kawhi Leonard a lot, but if he is 9,500 on FanDuel in a game against the Spurs, I understand why he's getting 20% ownership. I love Kawhi here.
Yeah, I could take or leave him.
I don't necessarily need it for 94 on DK, but 95 on FanDuel is crazy cheap.
Yeah, at 95, I understand that. I do. I don't have an issue with him. I have so much trouble getting to Kawhi Leonard on a nightly basis. I really do.
He is $2,300 cheaper than Paul George tonight.
Yeah.
And no one else is near him then. The next closest guy is Gallinari at 6,900. So he's a pay-up option at small forward that's not in the pay-up tier.
I get it. Small forward doesn't exactly have a wealth of options either. So
no. Otherwise, you're going to 17% owned Batum, 20% owned Bembry. Like it feels like a place where you can get away from some of the chalk just by paying for a guy that's good.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue that. I'm not going to even bother arguing that because it makes sense. It's a really rough position, man. It's bad. So yeah, 9,500. I get it. And Paul George is the same price as Russell Westbrook on FanDuel.
Craziness.
But I can tell you right now that outside of that, I really am not. Pascal Siakam's the only other guy, but seeing where his ownership was coming in at, particularly on DraftKings, what was he coming in at 17%? Him and Lowry at 17%. That Lowry ownership to me is a little bit baffling. You know, I don't really understand it. Like he's not Fred VanVleet being out does not make a bit of a difference for Kyle Lowry.
No.
So if Kawhi's on the court, it's not going to do that much with Fred VanVleet being out. So Lowry at that, I get that the position's not that deep, but Lowry's still not one of my go-to choices here. I think it'll be, Kawhi on FanDuel, as you mentioned, and then Siakam. Aside from that, I don't really have anything for Toronto.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Siakam's fine. I think Lowry is fine, but he's the most I don't want any sign of 17% ownership on DraftKings. If you end up with him in a lineup, you're not like, oh shit, what's going to happen here? But he's just not the same player when Kawhi's on the floor. So Kawhi on FanDuel is really the only stud for me.
Yeah, I really look. I don't hate Kyle Lowry here. I think he's fine. Maybe he gets you 43 fantasy points or something, and you'd be okay with that. I just don't love him whatsoever. DeRozan on the other side, though. I mean, I thought he was playing with some type of injury. Maybe I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong. But now we actually have seen, or now he's actually had some time off. Their last game was 10 days ago, right? He hasn't played in He's had 9 days of rest. I really do like that. 7,300. I mean, it's pretty much as cheap as you're gonna get DeRozan.
Yeah.
Heading back north of the border to face his former Raptors team, which is kind of just icing on the cake. It's not something that I buy into all that heavily, but the fact of the matter is, it doesn't really matter because he's really inexpensive and he's going to get up shots. And he's going to, if this game is close, he's going to play 38 minutes. So he's just wildly underpriced at 7,300, and
Yeah.
I'm going to have a very tough time getting away from that. Plus, this game has a 227 total, which is, believe it or not, I think the second highest on the entire slate.
Yeah, I have no issue with DeRozan. I have no issue with Aldridge either. Fine with either guy. Hopefully Aldridge keeps that questionable tag, or I think he's probable now, but I think he had a Q tag earlier. It's just like illness, so he should be fine. Aldridge, DeRozan, Gay, fine with me. Derek White's supposed to be back, so I don't need any part of White, Mills, Bellinelli, Forbes. All those guys are dead to me. I guess you could punt with Bertans at 3,700. I can't imagine really needing to get there. I assume we get enough news throughout the day to make that not appealing.
Well, if White's back, Bertans loses, in my opinion, all of that value.
Why is that?
Because he was starting in place of him.
I see what you're saying. I still have Bertans getting to 26 minutes.
He might, but you need like 100 from him. I have him at 25 minutes, but
I'm not saying I like him. I would get like 3% if I crunched 150 right now. I
got you. Yeah, DeRozan, by the way, this year 1.04 fantasy points per minute with White on the court. I found it to be strange because I think I brought it back to like the start of January. A couple weeks ago, I was running it when White got hurt, and I was surprised. DeRozan 1.19 fantasy points per minute with White off, 1.04 with him on. It has had an effect, but I'm not really worried too much about that because you're getting DeRozan at a big discount, and he's still around the 30% usage guy at that price. And again, you don't have that many great options on this entire slate. So when you get somebody like that, I think you have to jump on it. Plus, we have him at only 10% ownership on DraftKings, which I was very surprised by.
Yeah, that's a low number. Big DeRozan fan here.
By the way, Dame Lillard and Kyrie Irving could not hit a single shot last night. Throw D'Angelo Russell into the mix if you were somebody that was on Russell. I mean, holy shit, man. They could not hit anything. It was incredible. They just missed on every single opportunity. At one point, Irving was like 1 for 12. Lillard was 4 for 18. Russell was 3 for 15. And it was just crazy night. Meanwhile, Curry shot 10 for 16 from 3.
Yeah. Yeah. He didn't catch any flack for shooting like shit in the All-Star game. Nobody cared. Everybody just cared that Russ shot like shit. I think Curry shot worse.
Yep. Dame was knocking down like half court shot after half court shot. For real, he was 12 feet beyond the arc. It was awesome. He was the one making a splash. But do you have anything else from San Antonio, Toronto?
I don't. Just a little bit of Aldridge and Gay, and slightly more than a little bit of DeRozan if that number stays around 10%.
All right.
Moving on. Here we go. The Atlanta Hawks hosting the Detroit Pistons. 109.25 implied total for the Hawks. Terrible defense. 112.75 for the Pistons. Oddly solid defense. Start in Atlanta. And I guess we should probably start with the chalk, which is Kent Bazemore, 31% ownership on FanDuel and DK. DeAndre Bembry, 20 and 24% on FanDuel and DK. These guys are projected to get additional run because Kevin Herter is out tonight, and I do not understand why these guys are as owned as they are.
Yeah, Bazemore I kind of understand. But again, it's really only because you have to look at the positions in their entirety, and then you say, oh, okay, that's really ugly. But with Bembry, I really don't I don't see it, man. I really don't.
Here's my question for Bembry. I'll get ahead of it for you.
Go
If
ahead.
Jalen Adams isn't playing, then Bembry's going to be the backup point guard.
Yeah, he has been the backup point guard, right?
Yeah. But
And
I assume Jalen Adams is now officially healthy since they've brought him up and signed him to a legitimate contract.
I saw something. Hold on.
To be fair, I also
swear
thought that Chandler Parsons was Kyle Anderson today. So
Okay, so yeah, it looks like Adams will play. That's even worse for Bembry.
yeah,
I don't, because then if I don't I don't understand that at all. To me, that was one of the wildest thing. I understand that Bembry's very, very cheap,
yeah.
but I think that's one of those spots where you get caught up. Bazemore, at least with Bazemore, you can say, well, with Kevin Huerter doubtful to play, he should get Bazemore should get, at least 28 minutes. It's possible that he plays around 30. I
I
have him
have
at
less than
28.
that.
What do you have, Matt?
I have him at 27.
Okay, I have him at 28. I'm being conservative here, but the reason I have him at 28 is, sure, Jalen Adams comes in, but you have Huerter out, and Huerter and Bazemore had been to a large extent splitting the shooting guard minutes over the last couple of games. They had a little bit of overlap in the fourth quarter against the Knicks, but that's it. And I would put Bazemore. I think Bazemore is going to pick up a bunch of those minutes. He is the most logical option there, unless of course you wanted to give Vince Young more run.
Vince
But
Young, former quarterback of the Texas Longhorns.
that one, yeah, part of the dream
Great
team.
Rose Bowl.
Yeah, unless you want to give Vince Carter more run, then I don't really I don't see how else Kent Bazemore doesn't get there.
I'm going to
But I
play
mean, you want to
Reggie Bush and Lendale White today as well.
Lendale White. If you want to get to, if you got him at 27, I mean that's perfectly reasonable too. I gave him
that extra minute. Now put him at 28, but I'm still going to be under that 30% number.
Yeah, I understand Bazemore a lot more than Bembry, but neither of them do I feel great about. Mind you, too, this is a huge pace down spot. The Pistons are playing at the second slowest pace in the league since the start of January. Second slowest pace in the league with a top 10 defense.
Oh, man, Bembry is 3,300 on DK.
Doesn't even matter to me.
Yeah, I don't have a ton of interest. I will use him as a punt because he's 3,300 and should play 28-ish minutes. But
I don't think he gets close to that.
Really?
I mean, here's the thing. Okay.
Then you must like somebody else a lot.
No, okay. Let's break it down. He will get, by the way, he will get close to that. I just don't think that it I just don't think that it's going to be even mildly efficient.
Okay.
But if Jalen Adams plays and gets all the backup point guard minutes and Kevin Huerter's out. So you take, let's assume, and I could be wrong, but let's just assume that Adams gets the backup point guard minutes, right?
I gave him 15. I gave Trae Young 33.
So you have him directly backing up Trae Young.
Yes.
Okay. So then you've got, how many do you have Vince Carter playing?
14, but you can pretty much give him whatever you want.
Okay.
He's just the dumpster for whatever I have left.
So essentially you have Bembry backing up. Do you have Bazemore starting? Do you assume Bazemore will start?
I assume Bazemore will start.
So you have Bembry backing up Bazemore and then getting some backup minutes at the 3.
Correct.
I'm assuming. Okay. Yeah. Here's the thing. I have Bembry projected at exactly 28 minutes, but I'm not confident in that because there are other ways that cannot happen. So I just don't think he's locked into that at all. That's my only thing. And the reason I'm taking that approach is because if Bembry does play 28 minutes, it's still 28 probably inefficient and ineffective minutes.
Yeah.
Maybe it won't be. Maybe I'll be totally wrong and Bembry will have a great game. He might even start, but that wouldn't make sense to start him next to Prince. But even if he does get there, I mean, what's he going to do with those minutes? To me, it's so tough because you're talking about a guy that's 25% owned and has done nothing to show us that even when given the additional run, he's valuable. It's not like Trae Young is out and he's starting at the point and like you get that usage, now you can rack up more assists because there really aren't any capable ball handling guards. No, you're getting backup minutes behind uh Prince and Bazemore, and now zero ball handling duties if Jalen Adams gets all the backup point guard minutes. And you had backup point minutes and you still did nothing with them. It's hard for me to get there. The only thing is that you pointed out he's 3,300. But aside from that, I mean, if Bembry was 4,000, I wouldn't even want any of it.
No, not at all. No, 3,300 is the only appeal here.
I already don't want any of him, but I'm sure I'm going to end up on some Bembry because of that price. I just don't think there's any strong guarantees here that he's going to be even decent.
No, I'll happily be under the field there on both Bazemore and Bembry.
Where are you at on Trae Young?
I couldn't be less under the field right now, apparently.
Okay.
Which I didn't know until you asked me the question, so I want to at least look at it. I am very off on his. I don't mean off like I have a problem with it, but let me take a look at it. Yeah, I have him at 1.06 points per minute today. He's been at 1.22 for the past 30 days, but I think that he's playing a bit over his head.
He's at 1.13 on the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm indifferent.
If he's 1.22 over the last 3 days, 1.13 on the season, you got him at 1.06. So you definitely have him playing way over his head then, if that's the case.
Yeah, I have him as like a true talent 1.07 guy.
Okay, I have him higher than that. But I also
these are the type of guys where I'm going to have a lot more wiggle room. He's getting regressed differently because of having 4 months of NBA stats.
Sure. And that makes sense. Like if you were to ask me would I rather play Trae Young or Lowry at a similar price, I'd rather play Trae Young, honestly.
That's not the worst thought process in the world.
Yeah, I mean, he's just more involved.
Yeah.
Like one of them gets a lot of assists, the other one actually shoots and is actually the thing about Trae Young that I think people ignore. Now, and by the way, I don't have him as a core play, but as you'll see when you really break down the positions, you don't have a ton of great alternatives. Trae Young's got a near 40% assist rate and a 27.5% usage rate. I mean, those are good numbers. Those are really good numbers.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up on Wowie right now to see if I need to make any dramatic changes to any of his rates, especially with Lin and Herder off. That should be a decent little subset for him.
And if you get him at 33, 34 minutes,
Let's see. Assist rate is right where I need it to be. Turnover rate, I can cut quite a bit. Not turning the ball over as much lately. Rebounding rate really shouldn't matter. Usage 25.6. That is lower than I have him in right now. So 25.6% usage rate with no lid, no Herder on the floor.
Well, with no Lin or Herder on the floor. How many minutes?
640.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still steam to me, though, that it doesn't really seem to make much sense because.
No, I'm not going to really change it. I expect him to still be the primary usage guy here.
Like, why would your usage come down when you're being replaced by, no Lin, no Herder? Okay, so you got more Torian Prince and Kent Bazemore, Bembry. I don't know. Seems weird.
I'm with you. It surprises me.
Either way, what I'm saying is Trae Young at 7,800. I don't think it's really that egregious once you dig into it a little bit, because he is playing more minutes lately, and he's unlike Lowry. He's at least somebody that can give you that 20 point, 12 rebound double double with some steals and a few rebounds mixed in. His ceiling's pretty high right now. Granted, it's a big pace down spot, but what can you do?
Yeah. I'm comfortable with it. I'm just going to avoid him.
Yeah, it's fair enough.
What is not going to be avoided, though? This Pistons team.
Yep.
10-9 on FanDuel for Andre Drummond. 5% expected ownership. Love it. 9K on DK. 20% expected ownership. Love it. $40 on Yahoo. I love Andre Drummond here. Even at 10-9 on FanDuel, which, let's be clear here, is a really high price tag. But
you're not going to you can't get me to pay the same price as him for Nikola Jokic.
Nope.
That seems insane.
Well, the more interesting thing here is that we've got 4 guys at center on FanDuel. Vooch, Towns, Drummond, Jokic, all 10K or above. Towns is at 18%. Vooch is 12, Jokic 8, Drummond 5. Right. I would certainly prefer to go to Jokic in that scenario. But if Towns is 18, I'm comfortable having more Drummond than Towns in this spot against Atlanta.
Yeah, that's fine. Look, I think all of these guys are viable here. With Drummond's been producing some monster numbers lately too, and we all know he's very capable of doing it. I mean, he could go out and give you 25 and 22 with 3 blocks, 2 steals, whatever. I think one thing I mentioned this on the early bird. Sometimes people forget. He is really, like, when it comes to racking up steals, Drummond's really good at that. Like, really, really proficient at that.
4-4 in his last 2 games.
Yeah. I just look at it on the season too, though. He leads all centers in steals per game.
Oh yeah,
that's impressive. And then you also have him top 10 in blocks. He's like, that's what I've always loved about Andre Drummond. So he leads the league in rebounds. He leads all centers in steals. And
he can shoot free throws now.
And he can shoot free throws better now, right? And in points per game, like, Drummond is still top 10 at his position. Hey, that works for me, man. He just gets so much done. He's not just like, he's so far from a DeAndre Jordan. Just because DeAndre rebounds well doesn't mean these guys are anything alike. No, Drummond does so much more than that. He can score. He actually has versatility as a scorer, and he should be able to manhandle this team. 24% usage, 25% rebounding rate, 4.5% block rate, 2.5% steal rate. Whew, silly good numbers.
Yeah. And I love Blake just as much. 9,200 on FanDuel. Probably, God, he's got to be one of my top 5. He is 3rd for me on FanDuel right now. 9,200, just way too cheap. 8,900 on DK, I'm in for that. 38 on Yahoo, I'm in for that. I want both of these guys a lot, no matter what site it is.
He has been highly disappointing in 2 games against the Hawks this year, and I know I played him in one because everyone else had 10 or more points, and he had like 2 or 6 with 9 rebounds and 9 assists. Oh, I was so pissed that game.
He had 6. He went 2 for 10 from the field.
Yeah. Same game where Langston Galloway had 16 and Stanley Johnson had 20, and God, it's ridiculous. But of course, Blake Griffin is 8,900 on DraftKings, 92 on FanDuel. Yeah, of course you're gonna like Blake here. And I'll tell you what, as gross as it is, basically repeating what I said on the early bird for those that didn't see it, you have to have interest in Luke Kennard, whether you want to or not. And I'll tell you why, and I'll keep it simple.
I agree.
Yeah, in the first 2 games that Reggie Bullock was gone after being traded, Kennard came off the bench, played 29 minutes. And he started the last game, he played 36 minutes. If he continues to start, then I will continue to put him around 34 minutes or so. He could even be conservative, put him at 32, 33. At that price, in a massive, massive pace-up spot, he can just basically face plant into some peripherals and do enough to pay off that cheap price point. It's that simple, and it's tough to get away from in this spot where you get such a huge increase in pace.
Yeah, I'll have a decent amount of Kennard just based on this game, the pace, the Pistons implied total, and the fact that he's going to play, he should play pretty big minutes. I've got him in for 29 right now, and there's a lot of wiggle room north. And he already grades out well at 29, so.
Yeah, if he starts, I'm putting him in for well over 29 minutes.
Yep, I don't disagree. I love it. And then I'll have a little bit of Reggie Jackson.
Yeah, I love Reggie when Ish Smith is not in. There's just a lot more upside from a minute standpoint.
Yeah.
But in the same like, you're still probably going to get around 30 from him. Again, huge pace up spot, favorable to a guard like Jackson. I have no issues with him. I would probably look to play the ownership game.